What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about The Last of Us Part 2, cleaning up the Game Awards. I had hinted to this last night, just a few hours ago, really. Hopefully, if you guys watched that video, we talked about just in general if the Game Awards were a massive disappointment. And one of the things I didn't want to talk about in that video was the actual award. I want to talk about the reveals, the announcements. But for this video, I do want to talk about the winners, mainly focusing it on The Last of Us Part 2. I know this video. I'm a fortune teller. I know this video is going to get dislikes. I know this is going to be very reminiscent of back in June, where no matter what side you stand on The Last of Us, I'm going to get dislikes. I'm going to get hate. People in the comments are going to fight. I'm expecting it. I'm aware of it. It's okay. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I do think that's important. Really, really quickly, before I get too far into this, make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed. Bell icon turned on. If you're not already following me on Twitter, Podcast Now 15 is my Twitter handle. Would love to have you guys follow me over there. I had a lot of fun live tweeting the Game Awards last night, and I hope to do more stuff like it. All right, so let me make very clear where I stand on The Last of Us, or let me make as clear as I possibly can. I'm on the camp where I did think it was a really it was a really good game in a lot of regards. It was not perfect, and also the story decisions were very risky, very bold, and didn't always pay off. I cannot say that I agreed with the main decisions. I would say there's around 3 of them. The middle switch, what they did with one character eliminating, and then what they did at the ending. I'm not the biggest fan. I understand parts of it. Again, it's kind of hard to get too far into it, and to be honest with you, people are always just going to have something to say against me anyway, so I'll leave it at that. The thing I want to say about the Game Awards is this, and I said this last night. Funny enough, I do not think the Game Awards was disappointing. I am fine with the announcements. Again, you guys can go watch that video. The thing I was actually most upset about at the Game Awards was actually the winners, these winners. Again, it's not against The Last of Us as much as maybe people will make out. Look, I know like Jeremy from the Quartering, like he'll do a video, I'm sure in a couple hours, right, talking about how The Last of Us cleared up, and that's completely fine. And I know there's people that are going to take one stance or the other. I'm kind of conflicted, or I'm kind of in that gray area, which makes me hard to read. But, like, I understand why The Last of Us won a lot of those categories. Just some of them almost felt like insults. So, and we talked about this. To give Laura Bailey the choice, the Abby winner, that's like laughing in our faces, right? Because no matter how much you like The Last of Us, if you're telling me that Abby was a better character and better, I guess it was performance, okay? If you're telling me that the performance that and I love Laura Bailey, I think she does an amazing job at a lot of different roles. But if you're telling me that that was better than Ashley Johnson as Ellie in the same game, you're crazy. If you're telling me that that was better than Jin from Ghost of Tsushima, you're insane. Now, I personally would have picked Ashley Johnson, but I also really wanted Jin to win just because of just the way Ghost of Tsushima handled itself this year, okay? Even on Twitter, when I said, like, is this a joke? Like, to start off the Game Awards like this, is this a joke? People were saying, like, well, she did do a good job. But the point is, was she better than Ashley Johnson as Ellie? Was she better? I don't know the guy's name, and I don't want to butcher it anyway, but is she better than whoever did, Jin? I don't think so. I don't think so whatsoever. So that was not a good way, in my opinion, to start. That was basically, in my opinion, them literally laughing at us. Now, remember, the people who vote for these are judges. They're like gaming, they're not like gaming journalists. I guess they technically are, but Jeff Keighley has like a panel of voters. Really, the only vote that mattered for us was that Game of the Year that we did, or that he did on Twitter, which Ghost of Tsushima won, okay? That's the only thing we really had a say in. Everything else was like a committee. And again, it really seems like the committee is laughing at us. Now, again, let me make this clear. When it won for like best accessibility, I actually predicted that it would win, and I wanted it to win because what it does for disabled people is outstanding. Okay, there's no denying it. I think it won like best action. It won something else too. It won best like story direction. It won a couple things. I think it won like 5 or 6 awards. I feel like it won almost every single award that it was up for, which, again, like individual pieces of it. And then, well, let me finish my story here. When it came to Game of the Year, like at that point, like leading into it, like the individual awards, I was like, oh, this game actually I think is better in this category than The Last of Us, so maybe it should win. Or at least I understand why The Last of Us won, but as a full-on game, can it really win? I don't think so. I don't think it should win Game of the Year. And when they started winning every category and we got to Game of the Year, I literally told my wife, and I said, like, okay, well, it's winning. Like, it's going to win. There's no way that it doesn't. As much as I want my personal one, which I won't spoil it because I'm going to do my own Game of the Year award starting December 21st. It's going to be the biggest thing I think I've ever done on this channel. I'm super, super pumped for it, but I'm going to do my own, and I'm going to, make it a really big deal and hopefully have more popular decisions than what they had. But I knew it was going to win. Okay, I knew it was going to win. I think Final Fantasy VII, I think Ghost of Tsushima, I think those stood a pretty good chance, but obviously The Last of Us won. And again, like, I understand, but it's actually what we had talked about. Me and Degenerate Jay actually predicted all the winners of the Game Awards before it happened. We did it actually the day after Jeff Keighley announced all the categories and all of the nominees. We made a video and we predicted them all. And I think I even said The Last of Us Part 2 will probably win Game of the Year. But I did warn that it's not a good idea. See, I understand they're maybe voting for themselves, and I get that. I mean, that's what I'm going to be doing when I'm picking Game of the Year or any of my other categories that I'm going to do individual videos of. They're mine. It's my best story or best character or best, whatever, right? It's mine. It's not anybody else's. It's mine. So I get why they could do that, but to have a game like The Last of Us Part 2 win, again, I'm not saying, even if you adored it or if you hated it, I really think it doesn't really all that much matter. Like, I can see why you would pick it, but a game that divisive, does it deserve to win? And maybe that's going too far. Maybe that upsets the people that are in the super fan camp for Last of Us, which again is fine. It's fine, and I'll take that hate. In fact, I'm gonna get it no matter what I say. I can't say anything to stop people from ultimately gonna leave dislikes and leave negative comments. But like, come on, Ghost of Tsushima was an amazing story this year, okay? Final Fantasy VII was an amazing story. Even games, I don't even remember what the other games were. I think Doom Eternal was the other one. I don't remember what the fifth one was, but games like Hades, there's actually a lot of games that came out that weren't even nominated for Game of the Year that maybe they should have been, okay? Or I think Animal Crossing was one of the Animal Crossing was Game of the Year. Like, all of them kind of individually deserved it when you look at them. I just feel like the issue with The Last of Us Part 2 is that it didn't work for everybody. It would kind of be like, and I know this is a recent example, but like Cyberpunk almost, where Cyberpunk, some people are adoring it, but some people despise that game. I mean, maybe it's because of the bugs and glitches, so maybe that's not the best example in the world. But I mean, a game like The Last of Us, like, not everybody loved the game. Not even every critic loved the game. There were actually some critics that had and again, I don't want to say like they had the courage to speak up, because I don't think anybody was paid off. I don't think anybody was bought. I do think they were all trying to stay relatively nice with each other. I do believe in that kind of conspiracy. But you look at the fans, when we played the game, not everybody was on board. Now, maybe most people, maybe it was a vocal minority on the internet that despised some things, but I don't really think that's true. I really don't. I think if you ask the common Joe that played this game, I think they could probably come up with some things they really disliked about the game, okay? Doesn't mean they hate the entire game. Doesn't mean everybody thinks like that. But I think there's enough of them out there. And I guess you could say, well, you could say the same thing for the other games. Maybe people had problems with Ghost of Tsushima and, Final Fantasy and other stuff like that. True. I just feel like a game so like up and down as The Last of Us. Again, it worked for some people, and I understand why some people would say it's the game of the generation, but it also didn't work. It would almost be, and maybe a better example is like Death Stranding. Death Stranding to some people isn't even a video game. Some people despise that game. Some people thought it was the best game ever created, that Hideo Kojima is on another planet. In fact, that is a factual statement no matter which side you look at it. He is in a different atmosphere, okay? So, you know what I mean? Like, if that won Game of the Year, like, do you applaud it, or do you say, well, not everybody was on board with that? And again, I guess that goes to, because we can keep going in a circle, right? I can make this video 30 minutes long. You can keep going in a circle and say, well, it should be given to maybe a game that was that bold and wasn't universal, but maybe enough people liked it. But again, I think that's just the problem. When you do a thing like this, the Game of the Year Awards, you're talking to, like, you're not doing it for yourself in that case. Even for me, like, I'm doing it for my audience, but I'm not doing it for the world. Like, the Game Awards is for the world. The entire world is watching this, and it's supposed to represent us. In fact, Jeff Keighley even says that. It's supposed to be us, okay? And then when it comes down to it, it's however many people he has in his committee that judges these things. And The Last of Us wins, and there's nothing anybody can do, where, yeah, maybe some people are applauding it, but I was mad. I was like, again, some of the individual things were fine. Again, the accessibility. I don't think it should have won story direction. I really don't. Considering it was so like mixed, like not everybody liked the story decisions they made. I don't know how you could win something like that. But I think, did it win like best action game? I think it won something like that. Like, that's fine. Like, I guess I get it, right? Or best sound, maybe. I think it won best sound design. Maybe that was one of them. Like, some of these are fine. But again, like Laura Bailey winning as Abby, that's hilarious. That's a joke. Not saying she was bad. I don't think she was bad. Actually, I do think she was miscast as that role, because when you think of Laura Bailey, you don't exactly think of Abby. So I don't even necessarily think that was the best idea, but she did fine. Like, I'm not saying she did bad. And again, I think Laura Bailey is one of the best voice actresses in the business, okay? So nothing against her, but like, come on, that's funny, right? That's a joke. Is that supposed to be a joke? Because I'm not laughing. I was actually kind of upset. And then Game of the Year, by the time it got there, it was like, all right, well, The Last of Us has won every single category it was nominated for. And again, maybe people will call me out and say, oh, I lost one of them. All right, you get my point. I'm exaggerating just a little bit, okay? Leave the channel if you're going to do that. But you know what I mean? Like, it wins all those categories. Then when it gets the Game of the Year, it's like, is there really a chance? I'll tell you one thing, and I'm going to end it. One thing I plan to hopefully do on my Game of the Year awards is I do want to kind of show, like, this is how I want to put it together. I want to showcase individual games that maybe, and maybe it is just the kind of gamer I am, I can look at a game and say, oh my God, this had the best that I've seen this year in this category, but overall it fell flat. And I want to be able to do that. So I'm going to have like 6, 7, 8 categories for my Game of the Year. I hope that it's not just the same game winning every single time, and then when you get to Game of the Year, you're like, well, I know what Alex is going to pick. You know what I mean? I don't really like that. I don't really like a game, especially a game so divisive like The Last of Us, clearing out all of the other, nominees and then just winning, Game of the Year. When in truth, I do think there were other ones. You could say at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. Jeff Keighley's Game of the Year awards doesn't dictate my Game of the Year. I already own, most of the games that they showed for all of these nominations, right? So it doesn't do anything to me. I'm not here to complain just to complain. I do think this is a worthy talk we can have, but I don't know. Let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think? Did you think The Last of Us Part 2 should have won all that stuff? Do you think maybe other games should have won? Let me know. Again, as always, make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure you guys have the bell icon turned on. And again, make sure you guys are following me on Twitter, PodcastNow15 on Twitter. Thank you guys so much for watching. More Game Awards videos all throughout the day, going into tomorrow, probably going into Sunday, honestly. So stay tuned for more. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all there.